Alright, we'll finish off Book 11. They stormed also Persepolis, the head of the Persian kingdom. Persepolis was a city illustrious in many years, through many years, and it was packed with the spoils of the whole world, the orb terrarum, which become apparent first by its ending or its death. 11. Interhake, whilst this is happening, 800, ad modem, fully 800 Greeks ran up to Alexander, who, punishment of captivity, they had tolerated or borne with parts of their body being truncated off and cut up, and they were asking or begging that just as he had done in Greece, he should vindicate or get revenge also on this cruelty that was incurred from the enemy, by the cruelty of the enemy. 12. Data. Given the power of returning, they preferred to accept some land, lest they should carry back the side of their detestability, or they've been truncated up, so they wouldn't be bringing not so much gaudium or joy to their parents than their detestable appearance. 15. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Darius, into the grace of the victors by his cognates, in golden shackles, these are things that fetter your feet, and chains. He was in a vico, it's a village, sometimes it's a house, but he was in the village of the Parthians called Thara, and there he was bound up by his relatives. They were trying to get into the grace of the victors. I believe, thus, with the immortal gods making judgment, that it should be in their land those who would be the successing empire were the ones who ended off the kingdom of the Persians. So now the Greeks have come to replace the Persians in power. 3. Alexander also had a quick course, quickly running, quick pace. Posterior, the next day, he supervented it. He turned up. There, he learnt that Darius, in a closed vehicle, covered vehicle, through the night had been exported. He'd been taken away. Therefore, with the army ordered to follow, with 6,000 knights, they followed the fugitive. Along the way, on the itinerary, many and dangerous battles it made. 5. Immense esteem day. Then, having measured out or marched through many thousands of paces or miles, with no indication of Darius being found, given to the horses was the power of respiring or breathing. There was breathing room given to them. The rest, one from the soldiers, while he was continuing to a nearby spring, in a vehicle, was Darius. Indeed, with many wounds digging him out into him, but here he found him, ad hoc, still spiranting, still breathing, perspiring even. Perspiring's sweat, but spiring is breathing. 6. With a captive applied, who Darius recognised from his voice, so the captive was taken to Darius. This, at least, he would have in his present fortune, this solace, he said, that he was he was with someone who could understand what he was about to, like Clitoris, what he was about to say, and neither would he emit his final words in castle in vain. 7. To be preferred, to be carried to or taken to, he ordered Hake, this to be carried to Alexander. Himself, with no duties in him, and no officiousness of him of any merits for Alexander, he was maximorum debitorum. He was greatly indebted to him while he was dying, that in his mother and his children, he had expertus. He had found not a hostile mind of the king. He found him to be a fallacious or a graceful enemy or something. Then by lot, which his cognates and propinquos had been. It's his relations and his relations by marriage. So he found Alexander to be a more gracious sort of enemy to him than his relatives. Since to his mother and his children by this same enemy, life had been given, or life, the enemy spared his family. For himself, his life had been ereptamed by his cognates, to whom, these cognates, he had actually given them life in the kingdom. So he'd helped out his cognates during life, but they'd betrayed him basically. 9. Quam obrem. As you know, ob is a preposition, takes the accusative, so this is a very familiar way of putting it together. For which reason or wherefore, this would be the grace in future to him, to these people, these are relatives. What would happen to them would be what the victor himself wanted. Okay, to Alexander, he referred this, which only a dying person is able to. He gave this sol gratia, that he could pray to the higher and lower gods, numinas, the underworld and above world ones, and to the gods which look over kings, regales. What would happen? Contigat. It would happen for the victor, imperium of the whole world. So he wanted for Alexander to be the victor of the whole world. Okay, daily dictionary. Quam obrem, conjunction. On account of which, wherefore, why, for what reason, and what account. Top 20,000 words. Back to the story. For himself, it was justice more than anything grave or serious he begged for veniam. Usually it's a pardon or a bit of a favour. This was of burial. So he thought he implored a bit of a burial for himself. So what pertains to revenge is no longer was for himself, suam, but it was an example, a communal example, the case or cause of all kings, which to neglect for him would both be et correlatives, indecorous and periculosis, dangerous and a dishonour. Since, what have we got more correlatives? In altero, since in one case it would be his justice, in another this would be done for the cause of utility or expediency or something like that. 13. In quam rem, into which matter this pignus, which is a pledge, a unique one of regal trust and faith. It's a thing between kings. To give his dexterum, his right hand, should be ferendum, should be born to dative, to Alexander. Post this, he perexited his hand and expired. So he extended his hand, wanted his hand taken to Alexander, and he died. Which, when to Alexander this was announced, with the body of the dead saying, so indignant here, to him who was a peak person, a high-ranking person, this death, indignant death, there were tears. This followed up with the body in the royal way, mores, being buried, and his remains he ordered to be inferred or taken in to the tumuluses of his ancestors, the tomb of his ancestor.